This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to VOCM's Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and I'm sitting in this week, and I'm told next week as well. So I'll be here all day today for the Open Line program. And look, lots of stuff on the go, some of great concern, of course. This AI information that's going around, tracking what we're looking for and what we want to buy and using it possibly to get more money out of us. But one of the big things that's happened in the past day, and I say it's big because it's relative big, the gas tax. So Mark Carney's government comes out the day after they win 3 by-elections to take a federal majority in the House of Commons and puts a hold on the federal excise tax on gas and diesel right through to Labor Day. And that means a 10-cent drop, I believe, starting Monday. So 10 cents will come off of the price of gas in the way of taxes. But of course, the warnings last night that we heard is that in the summertime, we traditionally see gas prices going up anyway, which may mean that even though we may see a 10-cent drop right away, we could be facing a summer of higher gas prices regardless. Then, of course, we have the opposition who say that this is not going far enough, that they need to drop more of the taxes that they have on gases and allow people to have a bigger savings. Last week, VOCM, I believe Craig Smith interviewed the Taxpayers Association, and they were telling us that when gas hits $2 a litre, 51 to 52 cents of that is in some form of tax, whether it's federal or provincial. And they were looking for relief on all that tax. So that's a 25%, or 1/8, I suppose, of a litre. 25% of the price is in taxes. So there's more room for relief. Is that what we should see? I don't know. On the other end of it, there's a cost to it. Federal government says that it's going to save about $2.4 billion for consumers, but it's going to cost the federal revenue $2.4 billion. And of course, they use money like that for infrastructure and health care and all those things. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. Is 10 cents enough? Is it meaningless? Is it meaningful? We'll just have your say on that this morning. And right out the hopper, I see I've got John on line 1, and I'm going to ring John in here now. John, are you there this morning?
Well, it's pretty good here today. I can probably help you with why gas is going up.
Go ahead, John.
I need everybody, though, to, if you really want to know what's going on in this province, I got a page here. It's called Injured Workers of Newfoundland, Workplace NL. And I've posted a bunch of stuff on there this morning to show you what Carney and Hogan were up to these last couple of years and why everything is the way it is now. It's called the Cloward Piven strategy. I got that on there. There's a video about that. That'll tell you why everything is the way it is now, why gas is the way it is. And I put in connections to Sean Carney and Bill Gates' Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance. You can read that too. And there's also Epstein. There's a lot of connections to Epstein, Bill Gates, and a lot of them.
So, John, what's the correlation with gas prices?
Oh, it all has to do with his green agenda.
That's all okay, yeah.
Now, I got some videos on there now that clearly shows you what Mark Carney has been doing and how he benefits from it and the global elite and why our province and country is in the shape that it's in. So I suggest everyone listening go to that page, watch the videos, share, because if you don't, we're not going to get out of this mess. It's only going to get worse. Carney is not going to stop. The Liberals are not going to stop. And I've been watching this for years now, and I got some really good information on there now. Ireland is rebelling, and there's countries all over the world rebelling against this green plan. We have to decarbonize while China is not even being watched they're supplying all the green windmills and what do you call those things? They're supplying all this stuff, making a fortune. Carney is all behind it all at his World Economic Forum. That's where all this stuff was dreamed up.
So this all started with Carney. There was never a green agenda before Mark Carney. Is that right? Is that your suggestion? I don't think that's true. I got to be honest with you. I've been hearing about the green agenda and the concerns about that, and I've been listening to all kinds of pundits and so forth talking about whether it's good or bad. And I understand there's varying views on it, but you're saying it started with Mark Carney. That doesn't seem realistic, though, does it?
No, I didn't. I'm saying it used to be global warming. But when the planet started to cool and the ice, the North Pole gained ice, they changed it. They changed the name of it. So that's when that happened.
I see.
The Arctic's got more snow now.
Oh, okay.
Ice.
Yeah.
So they had to change it. So I got all that on the page. If you want to just go look at it and you decide for yourself, I'm not telling anybody to go along with it or not.
Oh, no, I get it.
You can see it's happening.
Okay, what's the site again, John?
It's Injured Workers of Newfoundland, Workplace NL, and I would suggest that Mr. Wakeham look at it as well, because, we're being taken here, and it's not funny. People are losing everything because of this Carney, that World Economic Forum has been on the go since 1971. And Carney is in there up to his neck. And then I've also included other people that are in there that are also on the Epstein list. So, it's a sick world. And it's time for people to, let's wake up and fix this. If I'd get away from this federal government as far as I could if I was Wakeham and Newfoundland, because they're going to destroy this country. And Hogan was going right along with it. And you can tell. He was.
Okay.
So,
John,
that's all I got to say.
Thank you very much for your call, John. And you've given the website there a couple of times. If people want to have a look at that, they can go ahead and have a look at that. And, of course, thank you for calling and appreciate it. And you take care.
And I'm not going to participate in arguments on the site either.
No, that's a good idea. That's a rabbit hole you'll never get out of.
Yeah, and I'm just putting it out there for people to look at. And, if what's going on here, like that Cloward-Piven strategy, that's what's going on.
Okay.
And they're driving us all into poverty using it. I'm going to put on another Cloward-Piven strategy. It's going to be photographs, and it goes into bigger detail of what exactly Carney is doing. And he's been at it for years now. So.
All right. Thank you, John. You take care. And we're going to move along. We got some other callers there. But, along the lines of this, of course, you can search out any side of this that you want to. There's all kinds of commentary pro, against and so forth when it comes to the green economy, the green world, the green agenda, and so forth. And I know a lot of people that are listening are absolutely in tune with it. Some people are only partially in tune with it. They understand why some of it is happening. However, they don't go full tilt. And then there's, of course, people that want to see that be the number one bar that is used when you're making any decision going forward. Okay, so so we've got the tax issue now, and please give us a call. Let us know what you think of the gas tax change. Is it enough? We know that they have at least 35 to 40 cents more of taxes that are still on gasoline, and of course we know the Wakeham government has made it permanent. The tax break that the Liberal government brought in temporarily, it is now permanent. It didn't lead to a drop at the pumps, but it certainly has eliminated the possibility for that particular tax to increase the cost at the pumps, and of course that is important as well. Next up, we have on line 2, familiar voice this morning, Merv Wiseman. Merv, welcome to Open Line. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you, and thank you very much for accepting my call. I wanted to talk again this morning about the food fishery. I'm part of the makeup of the committee that's been set up to bring focus and to advocate as much as we can to get a viable, a functional food fishery this year and beyond, of course. And I wanted to, there are so many components to this, to the food fishery, and connecting all the dots sometimes is very important to get the bigger picture. But we've been on our committee, our chair, Barry, I think, spoke to you last week about a lot of the rationale.
It was on Monday, actually.
And repeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And it's been said and repeated many times over, and certainly warrants and bears repeating as much as possible to get to where we want to be. This morning, I wanted to break it down a little bit on one component and connecting all these dots, and that's on the issue around the issue of safety at sea, especially as it relates to the food fishery. And there's a very strong case to make with regard to safety and how the fishery is being administered, how the food fishery is being administered. And
so, Merv, if I could, isn't that the backbone of the reasonable argument that the food fishery is not being rolled out in a way that makes sense for people to take advantage of it? Isn't that the key, the safety of it, whereas you're forced into certain weekends for a certain time period? If the weather goes sideways, you lose that time. That's what we're seeing in some situations where people are taking maybe risks that they shouldn't have to think about taking, only because they're running out of time and the food fishery is so short, jammed into so many days that you can't predict the weather 2 months in advance, of course.
Well, thank you for making that point. I couldn't say it better myself, and that's exactly where I was going. I had a long time with search and rescue, and as a coordinator, I coordinated a lot of different kinds of search and rescue, and certainly a lot to do with the food fishery, and a lot to do with the commercial fishery as well. And for many years, after we do investigations into a fatality or any incident at sea, Transport Safety Board, invariably there would always come down to a huge component of fish management and how it was being managed and how circumstances were lined up to create, the cause and effect, to create fatalities at sea. One example, of course, we lost a very dear friend, Gary Troke out of Twinigate, and his partner went to sea to retrieve fishing gear. They were commercial fishermen. They went out to retrieve gear because if they didn't get it in that day, the weather certainly was not fit to be out there, but if they didn't get it in that day, they would be fined. And there was no forgiveness on that for a long time. If you recall back some years ago, we lost some people, from Shea Heights, same circumstances, had to get gear back in. That was a fish management decree to do exactly that. And, DFO had to be brought to the table, kicking and screaming. We had to get a ministerial decision, had to get the ministers involved in trying to mitigate some of this through their management regime. So, the food fishery and the setting up of just weekends is a DFO, food fishery management measure, that's been taken. And there's no better recipe, as you described very well. There's no better recipe to set up things so that people are just baited into taking risk as they see, the weekend starting to peter out. It's been blowing all weekend. And boy, if I don't get out there in the last few hours, there won't be any more chances to get out for another week. And I have to go back to work. I have to, my vacation's over, all these things. So in the light of that and against that backdrop, I'm saying, our committee is saying, I think anybody with common sense is saying, look, we have to have a food fishery that is properly administered from DFO. It's their responsibility. It's a very, very simple thing to do, as it was very simple to decree that now there's flexibility in the commercial fishery for fishermen to recover their gear. And there's all kinds of other measures, too, that's been made. So we're making the case on the back of that, that everything stops with the safety component. Your right to be out there fishing is all over if you're out there and there's a fatality. I mean, that's common sense. So it's I think, extremely important that we make that point among so many other things and other pieces of rationale for the food fishery.
Yeah, so Merv, where is the committee now with its representation to the federal government who hold the keys to the food fishery?
Well, it's hard and fast. We're pressing as hard as we can, as often as we can. We're in communications almost on a daily basis with senior people within the ministry. And, as you know, and Barry explained that we did have a meeting with that, and we've been working with the public as much as we can on that basis. It looks like there's going to be a meeting with the minister. I'm going to leave it to the chair, Barry, to make that and confirm that announcement. But in the coming days, in the very near future, we've been pretty much confirmed a meeting with the minister to bring all the issues to the table and to have a face-to-face meeting. There's nothing like a face-to-face meeting, and it's not unreasonable to be looking for that. And in fact, it's been highly offensive that we have not been able to get that on an equal basis, along with other stakeholders, including commercial fishery, fish harvesters, and so on. So that's where we are now. We're lining up our ducks. We're trying to make sure that we impress upon the minister, and we're calling on all of our supporters, of which we have thousands out there supporting the cause and the committee and so on, to press the gas and to make sure that when we get that meeting, that we're going to make some headway, and the minister is going to understand the gravity of what we're trying to do, and to impress upon her that it's important and sensible to make the decision on a timely basis and to lay out a framework and to lay out a schedule that's conducive to all the things that we want to achieve in our objectives.
Or if we're seeing other areas in Atlantic Canada being treated different than Newfoundland and Labrador when it comes to this type of fishery, what do you attribute that to? Are we paying some sort of penalty from historic overfishing accusations? What's that all about? Why do Newfoundlanders and Labradorians seem to be begging at the table, please, sir, can I have some more, at this food fishery level, when it's something that's been a staple for centuries here? And not to mention the fact that are they worried that everybody and their brother is going to get out in a boat and clean the fish out of the ocean all of a sudden if we open up the food fishery for a decent amount of time throughout the summer for people to have? What is it? What do you think it is?
Well, yes, and that's such a vacuous argument, as we know. It holds no water. What a great question. And it's a question that I've been trying to get an answer to. And I can tell you, if I'm at that meeting with the rest of the group next week, and I expect there will be, pending some other kinds of circumstances, that's a question, a very pointed question that we all need to have answered. What is the rationale for the everyday fishery within the scope of what's being laid out during the season for Nova Scotia, and yet when you cross the water not so far away in Newfoundland and Labrador, that we can't apply the same rationale? Are we living in the same country or are we not? Because if you extend it even further, even fishing on the Great Lakes inland and out in British Columbia, they have an entirely different approach. In fact, in British Columbia, you pay $35 out there. I know, I have friends, I have family who's fishing out there and who can fish any day they want. They can pick their days. They can even set a couple of prawn traps. They can fish for halibut. They can troll for salmon. It just simply doesn't make any sense. And I want an answer to that question, along with some others that's begging answers. But I'm so glad you asked that question, because it just begs an answer.
Merv, thank you very much for calling this morning. And of course, look, I'm not a fisher. I know people that are. I know people that have done this all their lives, and it makes zero sense to me. To me, it sounds like a little bit of I don't know, making the innocent pay for something that may not even be a real thing. But anyway, Merv, thank you very much for your time this morning. I've got to go to break. I'll enjoy hearing how your meeting went Bent, and of course, we'll hear from yourself or Barry, I'm sure, over the next week or two. Take care. And Dave, you can take it away now to the break. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and yesterday we had a call from the Peters River area talking about St. Vincent's and the state of the road and the state of the parking down there along the beach area where everybody seems to go in June and early July to go see the whales. On the line now, I have Mayor Verna Hayward from St. Vincent's, St. Stephen, Peters River. Welcome to Open Line.
Hi, good morning. Yes, welcome to you to an Open Line. I haven't called since the Paddy Daly left, and actually I wish him all the best. I always had good conversation with Paddy. It seems you're probably having difficulty trying to replace him. Maybe he's irreplaceable, is he?
I don't know. I'm here. You can deal with me today. How's that?
I'm going to deal with you today. Yes, thank you for allowing me the opportunity. Anyway, the bigger picture in all this is the 12 months, 365 days with that road, that section of road. Yes, I'm concerned about the fact that tourists might not have a place to park, but the ultimate issue is safety and the replacement of breakwater. And as we know, in other communities, they're looking at replacing breakwater for like probably 20 residents. Where we have this section of road that is a link in this whole Irish Loop. It's a section of road that is used every day, 365 days of the year. It links our own community. If you've never been in here, I live in St. Vincent's, and it links this community to the next community, which we call St. Stephen's. And then you cross another bridge, and it links, that's Peters River. So, but not only that, like we have people from nearby St. Shots, Trepassey, Portugal Cove South, who travel to St. John's, and they usually travel this way, or they come up here for groceries. But I mean, it's a major, road. It's a road that has to be open, has to be safe, has to be available 365 days of the year. So, yes, I'm concerned about the tourism for the summer and parking, but I urge the government to take a serious look at the situation based on the fact of climate change and higher winds and stronger waves. Like our beach was a pebble beach, and now it's fine sand. So that will tell you what Mother Nature is doing. So my biggest concern is replace the breakwater as soon as possible.
Yeah, and Verna, you may know that there is some upgrades coming to the road there at St. Peter's, but I understand it's not through the entire area. It's a small stretch there. The breakwater, of course, is a different matter altogether. When you drive through that area, it is automatically easy to see the importance of the breakwater there. Have you seen any damage in the last year or so from the state of the breakwater as it is?
Oh, yes, definitely. I've been on council since 2013. So when I went on council, we were dealing with the PC government, which was a minister. He was Felix Collins. But the section of road that's been going to be paved is from Peters River Hill right to the bridge. And that's the community. I'll come to the community of St. Stephen's mainly. And it is in, like Peters River Hill itself is really in bad disrepair. But the main road from Peters River Hill to the junction at Trepassey and St. Shots is even in worse state. But anyway, that has been in the works since last year under the Liberal government, and the PC government is going to continue to replace that section of road. I do hope that they do good patching on Peters River Road and St. Shots Road. That road has been there since the early 80s. And it's a very traveled road as well, like I said, and tourism is very busy in this area. Like we see thousands and thousands of people. They'll soon start coming now into April, and they come right till October. So, but it seems like the government, even in the past governments, don't get around to patching till like August, September, when the tourists are gone. and then winter sets in and the plow destroys all the patching. So I don't know how they make the decisions, but but the section of road on the beach is in the community, and the breakwater is just about gone in most of the places. And even where there is still some breakwater, it acts as a breakwater. So the section of road with no sticks whatsoever is getting damaged. So in the heavy rain back in the fall, we lost a big whole section. We only had one lane for a long time, and we had lights there. So in December, when the contractor managed to get to repair it, they put a lot of rock back there again. The same contractor had put a lot of rock on the pond side. You almost have to be here to see it or look at pictures. But what happens, the ocean comes in, it flows into Holyrood Pond, and then it comes back. So it wipes out the whole underneath of the pavement. So right now, they did put the rock there, and they put back, they did the best they could. I don't know if the same contractor is coming back to replace the edge of the pavement. So we've had more damage occur with these strong waves, and the rocks are exposed, and there's 3 pylons there. So I know the section of road because I live here. Yep. So tourists come through now in another few weeks or less, and it's foggy on that beach. And they don't know about this section of road. And winds could be after blowing the pylons, because that's after happening, and they could drive onto those big boulders and possibly even go over the boulders and into maybe the water, Yeah. So it's a non-finished job, and I'd like to know, is it going to be finished? So that's one thing. Plus the sand rolls is a mess. The debris from the oceans all over the beach. But TI will tell us very quickly if we put a sign on their signs, and they're going to come remove them, because we want people to be safe at the beach. Because, people go too close to the ocean. So we have signs saying stay away from the ocean. We don't mean that you're not supposed to go on the beach, but keep children in particular, and you as an adult, stay back. Because if the drop-off is deep enough that a whale is there, that means, it's very dangerous.
Yeah, so Mayor Hayward...
And we put signs there. We put them on their speed limit signs, and then we have to remove them. So they know then that the signs are there on that side of the road, but they're trying to say that they don't want to do a cleanup on this part of the beach. We don't own the beach, and we don't own the road. The road is owned by government.
So, Mayor Hayward,
why are they being so difficult?
And just let me for a second now. So, have you made any representation directly to the new minister or government now since they've come into office in the last 6 months? Have you gotten any responses?
Yes, we have, and our MHA has done it on our behalf as well.
Okay.
And we've wrote the new minister regarding replacing the breakwater, and we've been fighting for a breakwater for years and years, and now it's worse. It's more dangerous, but this is the line from government. And I know, and I'm sure you know, that the rains might change, but the people there don't change. So what they've been telling us for years and years, it's cheaper to replace the pavement than put back a breakwater. But now it's getting worse and worse. And you know as well as I do, the winds are higher. We had a group of people playing cards at our building, at our town centre during the winter. And they went over. It was a lovely night. And coming back to see a surge had come in. And they were very scared driving through water and driving through sand. And one person's car actually swayed on the road. So this can happen at any time, and we have no idea.
Yeah, so Mayor Hayward, thank you very much for raising this. We're going to leave it there. I've got to go to a break, but given the popularity of this site, if you Google it, it'll take you to the province of Newfoundland and Labrador site where they're promoting the whale watching and all of that down in that area. So it seems to me that some upgrades in that area, the recognition that the province has given the site, should be backed up, of course, in some way. it also crosses my mind that, you've got a UNESCO site not very far from there, Mistaken Point.
Exactly.
Maybe the federal government has a role in this, and maybe this should be a federal park in that area, and maybe there's federal funding, maybe there's a program in place that you folks and maybe the province can seek to find some support to get this upgraded, because I know, the road will be lined with people, the beach will be lined with people in not that long from now, another month or so. And
exactly.
So I'll leave you there, Mayor. Yeah, go ahead.
For raising, for bringing it up. But I mean, I've spoken many times on Open Line about this, and I'm on a committee too, trying to improve tourism. I'm sitting with people from TCARP. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's such a popular place in our whole province, Newfoundland, Labrador, that it's an eyesore, and things should be better. Like the breakwater should be replaced.
Yes.
Tourists should come here and feel safe. It's not only whales, it's bird watching. It's just relaxing on our beach.
No, absolutely, and we promote that, and that's certainly a highlight of many areas of the province, and yours is one of the key ones. Mayor Hayward, we're going to leave it there. I've got to go to break. Thank you very much for calling.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Dave, you take it away to break. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host this week, Darren Bent, and next up we have Tom Badcock, and of course everybody knows Tom Badcock. And Tom, you want to talk about GoBus?
Yeah, Darren, thank you for taking my call. And yeah, that's a curse and a blessing that everybody knows Tom Badcock, as Dave will tell you. I had to change my number recently because of every type of an issue regarding a disability or an income tax or people accessing all the different funds were calling me, and it was day and night, and I just...
Tom, are you still down at the Hub? I forgive my ignorance, but are you still with the Hub group?
Yeah, I'm still at the Hub, yeah.
Excellent.
And, been here now for 30 years. The reason I'm calling this morning, the first issue was the GoBus, but I just wanted to let people know, first of all, that our housing units that we're putting here at the Hub, the 6 housing units, the contractor is in, work is progressing. We're hoping to have that completed and ready for occupancy for 6 people within the next 4 or 5 months. Please don't call asking to become one of our tenants, because we'll be working with Newfoundland and Labrador Housing to decide who comes in here.
I suspect the list is a mile long already, Tom.
Oh man, people are calling every day and asking about it. And again, we're working with Newfoundland and Labrador Housing to decide who comes in here, and we're hoping to maximize the release. By the release, I mean single people who are in 1 and 2 and 3 bedroom apartments now, that will free up for families and things. So that's our goal, is that we'll create 6 units and then create enough room for 20 or 30 by freeing up these other things. So,
well, that's incredible. That's a great addition, to the supply of housing. Of course, it's a small number, but a great help to those people. And of course, we could, as you know, we could use so much more.
Yeah, we could. Now, to put your mayor's hat on,
I don't wear the mayor's hat on this show, though, Tom. Just so you know.
I just want to ask you a question, if I may. And if you want to call me after the show or something, I got a couple of calls from people who live out in your area, inquiring about if CBS will be having a GoBus service, because there's a lot of people out there with disabilities that simply can't move around. Particularly people in wheelchairs who can't transfer.
So, Tom, I can tell you that we've been exploring busing now since I've been in the big chair, I suppose, and trying to find the right mix for cost and availability. In the last budget, the town announced that it was starting a service for people with mobility challenges. That service is going to be through local providers that provide transportation for people with all kinds of mobility challenges. So that has been announced. That's our start. It's we're getting into the public transit end of it that way. We thought we would address the need, and as you know, the people that need help are the people that can't avail of regular transportation. When I say that, unassisted or can't accommodate a wheelchair or some other different type of issue that may be felt. And of course, the program that's been announced will allow people to travel within the community for free. There'll be charges outside the community. There always are, but and it's a model, I believe, that was adopted in Paradise a couple of years, maybe a few years ago, and it seems to be working well there. But with GoBus or Metrobus and all of those different types of services, those are always on the table and always open for discussion. And I'm happy to chat with you afterwards about GoBus in particular. And I know that staff have been in talks with all the busing types of services that are available, because public transportation is the next step. It's just got to be the right step.
Yes, of course. And, I think you've answered my question there that you're addressing it, because, as I'm sure you're aware, there are some people who simply can't move other than in a wheelchair van. And the cost for people to go places is about $150 if they have to use private transportation. So the fact that your community is addressing it, so that when people call me, I can say, no, Mr. Mayor Benton and his council are addressing it, and hopefully they have something in place. And your thing to me that they're having this free thing throughout the community is great, because it allows people to go to church, meet with friends, and do social things.
Go to church, go see a hockey game, go to the things that people take for granted otherwise, right? And that was really important to us. And we have talked to some families, and of course it's the same all over. When you're in a community, you love the community, it feels beautiful, but you feel trapped. And one of the things that came up though during discussions, and I'll just say this to you, and you're probably aware of it. There is funding from the province that helps people in these situations offset the cost of transportation. But if you live outside the city center, it seems that gets eaten up in two trips if you have to go to the Health Sciences Center or somewhere else of any distance. And of course, then they're out of money and it's out of pocket then. And some of the people in these situations don't have that extra money to pay that extra few $100s to get around. And therefore, they feel trapped.
Of course it does. I think you're referring to the Medical Transportation Assistance Program. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how your perspective is that it had to do with a 30-kilometer range or something. So people having to go through dialysis or other kinds of medical treatments, which are pretty regular, after these couple of trips, they're on their own hook. So that's an issue for them, whereas with the GoBus is $250. But anyway, I won't belay this, because you said you're addressing it, and I think you understand the needs of people with disabilities as well as I do. So,
I don't understand it as well as you do, but I do understand there's a need. And Tom, I appreciate you calling in and bringing it up. And it's, of course, a huge concern for people affected, and we're trying to address it. I know other communities are trying to address it as well, and have in the past. So we're just following along some of the lines that we've already seen in elsewhere, and it's time to do it. Council's 100% behind it, and we're going to get it up and going this year sometime. I'm not sure exact dates yet, but it is going to happen this year.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right, day. Tom, you have a great day. And Dave, do we want to go to break, or we take another caller? Let's go to break. Okay, we're going to go to break now for a moment. Open line, Darren Bent, give us a call about anything you think is important. Take it away, Dave. Welcome back to Open Line, and I'm going to go to line 2 now. And on the line, we have former MHA, former MP, and always King's Counsel, Jack Harris. Jack, welcome to Open Line.
Thank you for having me, Darren, and good to hear your voice on the radio after in the capacity as a journalist of sorts.
Of sorts. That's the way I always felt, Jack. I was a journalist of sorts.
Well, you're a great journalist, and you've moved from journalism to politics, so you know that it's a long road that we're all on.
Jack, we've sat at many different tables together on the same side, on the opposite side, and of course a microphone between us a lot of times over the years. And this by-election day on Monday has you hearkening back to some of those days, back in 1987. I understand. I see a post you made this morning, and it took me back right away. And you've got to remind us, and when you remind us of who it was that was running in that election back in July of 1987.
Well, I was thinking of the crowing, I guess, about the three by-election wins by the Liberals, which was not a terrible surprise at this point. But I posted saying that I'm old enough to remember that another three by-elections on the same day in July of 1987, that the NDP won all three of them. And that was in the summer of 87. I was one of those three, of course, which is why I remember it so well. It was myself in St. John's East, Marion Dewar in Hamilton Mountain. She was former mayor of Ottawa and a great member of Parliament. And Audrey McLaughlin in the Yukon won as well, and she became leader of the party afterwards as well. So that was my first foray into politics. It was a long time ago. But and that didn't last very long because I was defeated in '88 by Ross Reid, who was a fine member of Parliament after me, but he got defeated as well in the next election. So politics moves pretty fast. But I guess what I was the point I was trying to make is that the politics is a long game, and the three election win by the Liberals now, as it happened to someone else before. And our party is, part of the reason why I brought it to the attention was just to put it in perspective where things are today as compared to what they were before and what they might be in the future. Because politics, as I said, is a long game. And we've had, that was in '87, we were at a very high point with the Ed Broadbent as leader. He was very high in the polls. We had a tremendous election in 1988, despite the fact that I was defeated. We won 44 seats. And then in the 90s, we had a trough where we actually lost party status, which we just did in the last federal election. But the point is that we will rise again, like the Mary Ellen Carter. And, of course, we'll all remember, I said most people will remember Jack Layton and Jack Layton's period of time with the elections. I was in two of them with Jack Layton in 2008 and 2011. And 2011 was when we won over 100 seats in Parliament. So that was 2011. It is 15 years ago. But, things change, but they don't change immediately. They don't change fast. And we're now in a situation with, we have a new leader, Avi Lewis, who doesn't have a seat in Parliament. But that's not the end of the world. Not having a seat in Parliament when you're elected leader of a party, that has happened on a number of occasions. And it's time to rebuild the party again. And I think the time, the time that we're in now, where we have Mark Carney as Prime Minister. I think the vast majority of people in the country are, or not the vast majority, but more than 50% of the people in the country are happy to have him there now, given the times and given the circumstances. But in terms of the raw politics, the situation now with him as a perhaps as far right as we've seen the Liberals in modern times, where the policies are aimed at building, obviously, fending off the United States, as well as dealing with the trying to build resilience against that and heavy investments. But as a fairly centre-right government, probably more right than we've been in a long time. And the NDP is needed now more than ever. And I think we're going to see a resurgence of the party. Not immediate, obviously, because these things do take time. But there's a need for the voice of the NDP in politics now. I'm just looking at the Doug May, university, a retired university professor, economist from MUN, published a thing today as well, looking at unemployment rates in Canada and Newfoundland and Labrador, and the unemployment rate for young men under 25 is, the numbers are they're startling, really, 15% in Canada, and 20% in Newfoundland and Labrador. And for that's a very high unemployment rate, and it shows that there's a reason why young people are discouraged about the future, and there needs to be attention paid to that. And there's a significant inequality in wealth, and as we see in the States and here as well. And it harkens back to the 1% controlling so much wealth, power of the corporations, and all of that. And that's something that the NDP has been always fighting for: equality and making sure that everybody participates in the benefits of society. And then, again, with perspective, and that was my point. The perspective going back to Avi Lewis, his grandfather, and I'm looking at a book now that I had a long time ago. His grandfather, David Lewis, was talking, and he wrote a book about it, actually. They're talking about what was called then the corporate welfare bums, basically complaining that the people were not being looked after, but meanwhile the government was putting millions of dollars and now billions of dollars into subsidies and benefits for wealthy companies. But that's what's happening now. I mean, obviously.
Well, in a bigger way than we've ever seen before, Jack. I mean, the corporate centralization and control of different things, media included, in a bigger way, and we see it from the States, of course. That what you have been fighting for all these years seems to have grown in the opposite way that you would rather have seen it. But I got to say, to your point about this as being a long game. In our time, we have seen the end of the Conservative Party in the wake of Mulroney. We've seen the end of the Liberal Party at one point. The NDP are dead, and none of that is true. They've all risen, and they've all renewed. The key to renewal, what is that? Is it disillusionment in what you're facing now, or is it bred from a new inspirational move from within the party?
Well, I think it has to come from both places. I mean, we've got people in Parliament who are very capable and talented. Those who know me know that I supported Heather McPherson in this campaign. She's a friend of mine. I would serve with her in Parliament. She's very talented, passionate leader, and got elected in Edmonton twice. We've had that's a good thing. She had a lot to offer, but she lost to Avi Lewis, and we now have a new leader. He brings something to this that I think it could be a spark to build the party from the outside in, if you can say that, because he's a talented guy. He's got a bit of a history with his family, but that's not to his credit, but it also inspires him. And as he said so, his grandfather was the leader of the NDP back in the 70s. His father was the leader of the NDP in Ontario, and a tremendous a voice and a tremendous man who inspired a lot of people around the world. And so he's got big shoes to follow, and he has big ambitions, but he is also very, very talented and very capable of inspiring young people, as was shown in the what he has done to how he won the leadership of the NDP. So we have to give him his opportunity to do that, and I think he has the ability to do that, and he seems to have the energy and the willingness and the determination to work with people across the country to build a response to the need for a bit more attention to be paid for the needs of people who aren't benefiting from this, and taking on the challenges of corporate dominance in our society, and being a voice of accountability for the government as well.
Jack, it was great to hear from you this morning. And of course, you're flashing back to 1987 with Marion Dewar and Audrey McLaughlin. Of course, Audrey McLaughlin went on to be leader of the party at one point in the interim. And yourself, always considered in the province politically a voice of reason. And I greatly appreciate you calling in and reminding us that it wasn't 3-win Liberal only in one day. It was 3-win NDP back in 1987. And who knows which way the current will unfold over the next few years. But of course, we will see change in this long game. Thank you, Jack. You have a good day.
All the best to you, Darren. Thanks for having me on board.
Absolutely. All right, Dave, I think we're at the 10 o'clock, and there's probably going to be a newscast now, so we'll cut to that. We'll be back in just a few minutes with Open Line. Well, the first hour just flew here at Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent. And next up, we have Dave Chason, Executive Director of the Seals and Sealing Network. And I know, Doug, I understand the seal fishery opened, I believe, about 10 days ago, 8-9 days ago. And you're calling in to let us know how things are going and what the optimism seems to be for this year for the seal hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Darren.
So what can you tell us? This is one of those fisheries that, is up and down. Of course, the TAC is usually higher than the landings, just based on the markets. And I know that most sealers are told before the season to check with your markets, check with your buyers and all that before you go out, so you know exactly what it is you need to do. What's the situation this year?
Yeah, so this year certainly we're optimistic. There's positive signs on the horizon. I'll put it that way. The hunt did open about 9 days ago now. So we're hearing positive results so far from the harvesters. We're hearing certainly from the seal processors in Newfoundland and Labrador that there is interest from customers and consumers all around the world. So we're hopeful that when we get to the end of the harvest here in a few weeks that we'll have a really good news story to tell compared to the last few years.
Yeah, and I know I've heard over the years, Doug, that some places have had stockpiles from previous years. Is that the case, or is that dwindling? What's the situation there?
Certainly, from what I hear, Darren, is that many of our members who are in the seal business are getting more demand and more calls from customers than they've seen in quite a few years. So if there are any stockpiles piled up, I would say that those stockpiles are in pretty high demand and won't last very long.
So where is the demand coming from? Because it changes from over the decades where people are most interested in getting seal products, whether it is skins or oils or meat, whatever it is. Where is the biggest demand?
Certainly, we have quite a bit of demand right here at home here in Canada. There are folks from coast to coast to coast that are working with sealskin or that are selling sealskin garments and accessories. And at the same time, we're seeing a lot of growth on the oil side of the business, both with folks who are taking seal oil as an omega-3 fatty acid supplement for themselves, but also we're seeing a lot of growth in the pet market for seal oil. So folks that are giving seal oil to their dogs or cats, we're seeing quite a bit of expansion and growth on that side of the business.
Yeah, and on that side of the business, and I've seen it at the pet store that I go to. I've got a dog and a couple of cats, and they have oils that they say are help with the skin, help with the coats and so forth. So that's a growing end of the business, is it? Because quite frankly, I'm always amazed at how big the pet support industry has become in recent years.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Darren, that I'm amazed at how quickly the overall sector is growing. And for us in the seal business, we want to try and get our piece of that pie. And, we are putting up a compelling product, an interesting product, a product that does have, real benefits for the health of dogs and cats. And more consumers across the country are waking up to that, are getting exposed to that, getting informed to the fact that they can and should be giving their dogs and cats seal oil supplements.
Yeah, and seal oil supplements are something, especially with the omega-3 fatty acids, something that we see shelved everywhere, no matter where it comes from. So that's a big end of the market now, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we see, any one of us, we walk down the grocery store aisle, and that section of omega-3 supplements seems to grow every time you walk through the store. Whether it's fish oil or salmon oil or krill oil or shrimp oil or algae-based oils, there is a major demand in the market right now as more people come to understand the health benefits of omega-3 fatty acids, and as people come to understand the completeness of seal oil as an omega-3 fatty acid supplement. There's three kinds of omega-3 fatty acids that are available from marine sources, and seal oil is the source of all three of them, whereas as other supplements often only contain one or two. So folks are starting to understand through the work that we've done here at the Fur Institute of Canada and Seals and Sealing Network, through our Canadian Seal Products campaign, and the work that our members are doing. Certainly more and more consumers are coming to understand the complete omega-3 package that seal oil offers.
Yeah. And Doug, look, I don't need to tell you, and the listeners know that here in Newfoundland and Labrador, we know that the seal hunt, the seal industry is fragile at the best of times when it comes to international viewing and so forth. And of course, something goes sideways, some star at a Hollywood or off of the runway somewhere in Milan decides they don't like seal all of a sudden. It's in the headlines, and and we're made out to be all kinds of different things. But and you're always guarding against that. I guess you have to be mindful to keep an eye for those sorts of things and try to offset them as best you can. But you still feel that there is a growing interest despite that, and a little bit about how do you dance around it as you try to promote seal products in the seal fishery.
Well, I think that what we're seeing out in the market, and both the actual consumer market and the marketplace of ideas, is people are getting tired of the same old story from the anti-sealing groups. Really, they're saying the same thing now they've been saying since the 70s, and more and more
and using the same footage, I might add, as well, a lot of times.
Yeah, they haven't even updated their footage for the most part, but it really is a case of we have new generations of consumers coming into the marketplace that don't know Bridget Bardot from Eve. Right, people that are millennials, people that are Gen Z, we see a real shift when we do public opinion research. We see a real generational shift amongst younger consumers, and this applies, broadly to fur products, but also specifically to seal products. That they see these products as being, a sustainable, biodegradable, environmentally friendly option instead of a synthetic product that'll only last a couple of years and then get thrown in the landfill. They really see that the benefits of supporting the fur industry, supporting the seal industry, and investing in something that might last you 40 years. A lot of folks are able to pass on, properly maintained and stored seal coat or fur coat. You can pass that on for generations.
Yeah, and also really along with that new consciousness, Doug, there's also the a balance of our marine ecosystem, and of course, seals have an effect on other fisheries and other species out there as well. So I suppose that doesn't hurt in backing up your argument.
Yeah, certainly that doesn't hurt. But I think that the number one thing that we're coming to find through the research that we do and the promotion and education campaigns that we do and the marketing work that we do, is people want to hear about the product. People want to see seal coats and seal garments, seal mitts, seal boots. People want to understand why it is they should take seal oil, because it's an effective and complete marine omega-3 supplement. And, after that, they go, okay, this is a product I want to buy. Oh, but I'm not sure because, I heard 30 years ago that seal hunting is bad. Well, then we have the information that can make them feel better about making that purchase, that can give what the folks in the marketing business call permission to buy. They want to buy it, and then we have to be able to provide the information that gives them the permission to buy. And for some people, it's about being sustainable and biodegradable, not creating microplastics. For other people, it's about being able to maintain, ecosystem balance. For other people, it's about supporting, rural and remote communities. All of these things play different roles in different potential customers. But, what we really want to be able to tell people is that seal products are incredible products, and they should want to buy them because of the incredible products they are. And then we can have a conversation about the other parts.
Well, Doug, you seem to have your I's dotted and T's crossed on this one for all the benefits and, of course, the changing times. And we are 40 years down the road since, or 50 in some cases since all of that. But, I'm always worried that the other shoe will drop. But, Doug, look, I appreciate your call this morning. Please give a call back now in a few weeks when we get the results of the fishery and see how the markets are going then, and that would be great. Thank you very much, Doug, for your time this morning. Great to bring us up to date on that. And I am always late for break. Dave, we'll be back with Open Line in just a few moments. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, sitting in this week and next. And it seems there's a little something fishy going on here this morning. I have Mike on line 2. And Mike, you want to talk about the food fishery.
Sure. I want to find out about how many you're allowed to bag per boatload.
Yeah.
And if you're allowed to return out to a return trip, how does that work?
Yeah, so we're not sure about the food fishery for this year yet, of course. But in past years, I believe that there was a bag limit per boat for, and maybe I'd have to turn to Dave, he might remember this, but 10 fish, 5 fish for fisher, 15 fish per boat or something like that. But we can look that up and get that information for you, Mike. But we're waiting on the federal government to give a full announcement for this year's food fishery. It might be different. And of course, yourself probably, and most other that are taking part or would like to take part in the food fishery are looking for a better set of guidelines to allow for a much safer and a much more reasonable food fishery here in the province.
So it's 15 per boat load or 5 per person?
Yeah, no, it's 15 per boat. I believe that's like 5 per person, something like that, up to 3 people. But that was last year, Mike.
It might change, yeah.
Yeah, we're hoping it's going. We're hoping, not hoping. I say I shouldn't hope. I'm not going to be doing any of it because, I'm not. I haven't been out and about in years to do it, and I have trouble just getting up and down the steps into my house, let alone getting in and out of a boat to jig a few cod. But I can tell you this much: there's been a lot of pressure on the federal government this year to do something a little different, expand it, give people more access. So we'll await that announcement. And what seems to be strange to me is that it seems to be a late announcement most years. You don't get it until it's right on the cusp of people wanting to get out and get a few fish.
Yeah. Well, the access is another thing. They're in the Seal Cove staging area there. We go up there, we can't even get in there. They're parked on the roads with their boats. You only get 7 or 8 boats in there, and it's blocked. They could open that up and make it a lot bigger. They go in one way and come out the other. We have to go right to Harbour, Maine, or sometimes up to Avondale to put our boat out because you can't get in there, right? what can they do with that up there?
Yeah, no. So you have to. Is there a local organization that runs that area that maybe they could have a look at it and see what's possible there?
No, it's the town of CBS.
Oh, it is a town, yeah. So I'll have to look into that because it might fall under federal regulations, given where it is. But we can have the town look into that and see what's possible up there. I know it does get crowded there, along with a lot of other places when things do get open, and especially, and as you know, on a nice day, everybody and their brother wants to get out and make hay while the sun shines.
They got the trucks and boats out on the highway. There's black. They're dangerous there too, and they got lots of land there. Why don't they just expand it? Like go in one way and come out the other. They can have a lot. They can utilize that a lot better than what they're doing, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm not sure that would be property ownership and all these different things that come into play. But if it's something that needs to be looked at, that's something that we can pass along to staff for sure and let them have a look at it and see what's possible.
Righto. Okay, that'll be great.
Okay,
yeah,
Mike, and keep an ear now for the announcement for this year. We're all interested to see what the federal government's going to do with the food fishery.
I'll keep my ears open. Okay, thank you.
All right, Mike, you have a good day.
Same to you, bye.
Okay, next up we have on line 5, Jack. Jack, you've been sitting there for a while, I know, waiting to get on, and appreciate your patience. Jack, how can we help you today?
How are you doing? I'm Jack Gooby, and I'm a hypnotist. And together with my wife, Colleen, we're performing the one and only HypnoGoob Hypnosis Kitchen Party. It's a fundraiser, and we're on a tour across Newfoundland at all the Royal Canadian Legions that are participating. And we are here to support the veterans and the Legions, because they're good organizations as far as giving back to local communities and provide wedding venues, sponsoring sports teams and other community needs. And so we're doing the one and only Hypnosis Kitchen Party. And what a Hypnosis Kitchen Party is it's a hypnosis stage show for the first half, and the second half is a kitchen party. So if you have an instrument and you love to play, just bring it on out with you. And, we play and sing songs. We put lyrics and chords up on the screen, and we just play and sing along. But it's a totally interactive show. And we're going to be at the Burgess Legion on the 15th, and we're going to be at Portugal Cove on the 17th. On the 19th, we'll be at Pleasantville. That's a afternoon show in Pleasantville. And on the 20th, we're going to be at St. John's Royal Canadian Legion branch in Blackmarsh Road. If you drive down the road, you can see my mug on the side there. They've got a big advertisement out, so that's great for them. On the 23rd, we're going to be in Burren Royal Canadian Legion. On the 24th, we're going to be at Port Blanford Royal Canadian Legion. And then on the 25th, we're going to be at Eastport Royal Canadian Legion. And the shows are $20 a person. You can get the tickets at the door, except for St. John's Royal Canadian Legion Branch 1 on Blackmarsh Road. You want to get your tickets in advance because they've already pre-sold a whack of tickets, and you want to make sure you get in there if that's local to your area. And it's a complete interactive show, and it's just a ton of fun. It's a one-of-a-kind show, so hopefully you can come out. Like I said, it's $20 a person. You can also find out more information by contacting your local legions in your area, or you can contact me if you go on the website www.hypnogoob, that's spelled HYPNOGOOB.com. Hypnogoob, www.hypnogoob.com. And you can contact me, direct all the information's on there. Plus there's a listing of where we're going to be, the Royal Canadian Legions, on what date we're going to be there.
So you're doing the Legion tour, and I didn't interrupt you, Jack. I was feeling sleepy. I was feeling sleepy as you were talking there. So sounds like a bit of fun for sure, and there's no shortage of hypnotist fans in this province, is there? It's
been good response so far across, and we've had a riot. And just one thing I want to bring up there, St. George's. We played at St. George's. They've been the most interactive group we've had so far. They've been up dancing and carrying on right from the start. And Woody Point's had the most instruments out. So if that's just a challenge to all the other legions. So if you're in the area and you're close to your legion, get out and support it, because you want to be the number one out there.
All right, Jack. Jack, thanks for bringing us up to date on this. And if I ever get out to one of your shows, I hope you can hypnotize me into playing better guitar, because I certainly need it. So it's a great thing. It's a Legion show, a Legion tour for Jack Gooby, Hypnotist Show. So thank you, Jack, and you have a great day.
Thank you, too. Say it, Darren. Thank you.
Okay, and just a note now, we've just got a note from Barry Forderman. Of course, Barry is with the Committee for the Food Fishery, and he notes, and Mike, if you're still listening, tune into this, it's 5 fish per person for each person on board the boat, provided the boat can safely carry that number of people. So, depending on the size of your boat, depending on the type of boat you have, if people can safely ride it, you can bring in up to 5 fish per person. So there it is. It's not a boat limit. Now, we are just past the half hour. We're going to go to break now, but we're coming back in just a few minutes with St. John's Mayor Danny Breen, and we're going to talk about all kinds of different things. Welcome, Danny Breen, and Open Line. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and on the line with me now, line one, we have Mayor Danny Breen, Mayor of St. John's. Welcome to Open Line.
Oh, Darren, great to hear your voice. You're doing a great job there.
You're not tired of hearing my voice, Danny?
No, just good to hear it again in a different venue.
There you go. Yeah. Well, great to have you on, and of course, being mayor of the largest municipality in the province, and a lot of things flow through St. John's, and it's one of those places where people look to see what's happening, or where are you leading, and so forth. And I know that you chair the M&L. The larger municipalities group, so it's a key sort of role that you have, and some days you probably feel it heavier than other days. But right now, what we're hearing the most of is Saltgate. What is going on with the salt?
Well, we had a higher use of salt this year than we've used in past years. We did this year. Our staff did order more than our usual order, but we had a lot of freeze and thaw, and we had a lot of uses, and we're also doing a lot more salting in the city. When you look at the amount of sidewalks that we're now doing, and the multi-use trails that we're clearing and salting, so. We, like every other jurisdiction, we found ourselves getting down to the last bit here. So we're taking some steps to be able to address that, so we can get through the winter.
So when you say you ordered more this year, you were ready and anticipate, and I suspect, and I could be wrong, but when you order from a budget of January, February, March, April, and then October, November, December of each year.
Yeah.
Was your order to have it in stock to do the fall as well, or was it just to get it through, but your budget numbers would carry you through the year?
Yeah, so where our usage was just higher than we've had in other years. I think this year we've used somewhere around 40,000 tons, and usually we'd be in the 35,000 ton range, I believe, as what would happen. So this year was a different kind of winter. We had a lot of snow, as we all know. And we also had a lot of freeze and thaw that happens, and that made the snow clearing challenging, and certainly the use of salt was high. I mean, there's many times when the snow clearing operation will be in force, and then they'd have to go back to salting and then come back to snow clearing again. So It's been a challenging winter, but we'll get through it.
Yeah, and we always get through these winters, and of course you readjust in the spring and see what you need for fall. But I guess the question would be: is there a concern that this is a trending? If you ordered more this year than you had before, it was probably for a reason. Are you going to have to look at now budgeting that you may need more again for the following year?
Yeah, so our staff will do the review of the year, and they'll look at the different aspects, and the salt usage is going to be one of the things that's going to be considered. Remembering too that the price of salt has also increased, so the cost to municipalities and to the provincial government is quite significant in snow clearing. Our total budget is in somewhere in the range of $30 million. So it's a lot of money out of a $325 million budget, I think it is, that's spent towards snow clearing.
That's no table salt, that's for sure. And of course, we're probably going to expect to see increases in the cost of shipping that to the sites because it's a heavy product, and the price of gas is going to reflect in that a little later on, probably in the fall. So you may see some adjustments there as well. Let's go on to something else now, and of course, there's the controversy and questions, I suppose, about the Limeville development up on the Signal Hill area. What's the latest with that?
Well, so where we are with that is that there is an application that's been submitted, a concept plan that our staff are reviewing. So the staff review is underway, so they'll go through that. But there's a couple of things about that project that are important to remember. Number one, it's zoned for the use that the application has been submitted for. So I believe the zone on it is A3, which allows for the type of housing that's being proposed. So it then goes to a development review, which is where it's at now. So the development review looks at all the different aspects of the development, looks at the number of units, the various regulations and requirements. So until that review is done by our staff, we really don't know where this will be or how it will turn out. At the same time, it's in heritage area, so there's a heritage report done. So council has approved the terms of reference for the heritage report. So once the heritage report is submitted and once the development review is complete, then we'll know where we are more with this.
It's a difficult thing, isn't it? Something that has been traditionally one way forever and a day, and then something comes along that's completely new and seems completely different than what people have been experiencing. If it meets all the regulations and the zoning, then it just goes right through the process for council to approve, or even in some cases staff can approve, because there's no red flags that would, from a planning standpoint, that would force it out into the public for comment. And it's always difficult when you get projects like that, isn't it?
Well, then, and council may not have anything, as you pointed out, may not have anything to vote on. It may not be any decision that's required by council. The other thing that's unique in this situation, too, is the house itself is being maintained. Now it's going to be repurposed. It's going to be, the plan is to make it into apartments. But the house itself, the structure is being maintained. So it's not like you're dealing with the demolition or the tearing down of a structure, an older property. It's a reuse of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, any changes to neighborhoods and so forth is always going to get public reaction, and rightly so in a lot of cases. And it's one of the things that keeps people like you and I on our toes, is when people raise things. Every now and again, something comes up that you go, aha, that's a good point. And it makes for better decision making when it comes to the table, for sure. Before I let you go, Mayor Breen, and I'm going to throw this at you from left field. You can criticize criticize me later in private if you want. But one of the things that came up last year, and I think about it every time that I go somewhere else, the big Welcome St. John's or I Love St. John's sign. Is that dead, or are you looking for another place for it?
So last year when we came up with when we acquired the sign, there was a bit of opposition towards where the sign, our plan was to put the sign. So we decided at that time to put it away, put it in storage, until we deal with looking at another location for that. So our staff are looking at various options now, but we haven't made any decision on where or when the sign would be installed yet.
Okay, well, there you are. There's the update on that. Mayor Breen, I appreciate your call this morning and giving us some updates on some important issues, and all the best, and look forward to seeing you around the table again in the near future.
We certainly will. Thanks very much, Derek.
All right, take care. Thank you, Mayor Danny Breen, City of St. John's. And look at the time. I'm only a minute late for break, so I'll turn it back to Dave. You're listening to VOCM's Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and we're going to go to line 2 with Charlie. Charlie, welcome to Open Line.
Yes, good morning, Darren.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing today?
You're auditioning for the job too, are you?
I'm just filling in this week and next, helping out to relieve some pressure for sure. But it's been a bit of fun, I can tell you that, and it's it's nice to get back into a little bit of media. So, but I've never done anything quite like this before. So it's an interesting challenge, and I don't mind a challenge. I can tell you that, Charlie.
You're doing a fine job. Anyway, Darren, I want to speak about two things: the Hungarian thing, as it relates to the States and Trump, and the MOU. I saw Mr. Williams come back on there. He didn't take his own advice about not speaking after a premier gets out of office. But anyway, his ego was on full display when he said he killed the MOU, and he said that was his biggest accomplishment. I always thought his biggest accomplishment was Muskrat Falls. Well, I'm saying that with a little bit of sarcasm. But anyway, it's interesting that he says it's killed, because I'll make a prediction here. You can write this down now. The MOU can go three ways. In my opinion, they can accept it, and that's not going to happen. They can reject it outright, and I don't think that will happen. What they will do, I believe, is recommend changes, and this will bring it back to the bargaining table. And because the Quebec Premier is in trouble with the electorate and don't want to say they gave in, because they're already being criticized by the Quebec opposition about being too weak on this. So I'll predict that it will be stalled, and it won't happen because of that. So that's my read on it.
So you think that it's going to follow you think it's going to follow the same trajectory as the Meech Lake Accord when it was dealt with here in Newfoundland?
Something along that lines, parallel there, yes.
Now,
anyway,
yeah, you want to talk about the election in Hungary? Of course, the Trump ally Viktor Orban lost in that election, and people are saying that it means something for populist leaders around the world. But what are your thoughts?
Before I leave the MOU, just a quick comment. The irony of this is one of the reasons we were so anxious to get a deal with Quebec was to get needed cash, the $1 billion a year. And one of the reasons for having to go after that is the big debt load that Danny brought on us with Muskrat Falls. So we can give him credit there for trying to make an easier deal with Quebec in that sense. Can you imagine when Muskrat was priced at $6 billion? It was questionable then whether it was financially feasible. Can you imagine adding an extra $8 billion to that? seems sometimes that people don't understand how much money that actually is, and how hard it is to pay something like that off. But anyway, I'll leave that and go to Orban.
Well, just on that note, Charlie, I think most people can understand it. It's like having a credit card and not following it, isn't it? It's like when it gets to a number where the debt payment is higher than you really wanted it to be, you're already there. And then the rationale, and you listen to the credit people, that the advisors say that people turn blind eye to it at that point because they know there's nothing they can do about it anyway. And when you're not using your own money, that may be part of it as well. But of course, some of the financial situation facing the province, it relates directly to government decisions. Some of it relates, of course, as you know, to situations like COVID. COVID cost this country and this province an unsurmountable amount of money, and that has to get added to whatever recovery program, whatever government wants to do. And of course, it all gets put together into the big pile, and all you see is a number at the end of the day. And we have a government now, a new government, that are going to take their shot at it, and hopefully they'll get us going in a path that makes sense for the long haul. But it's going to be, as Jack Harris said, this is going to be a long, long road.
Well, I see them following the same path. Financially borrowing close to $1 billion a year and adding $100 million to our interest rate that we have to pay each year, and I don't see any change in that. But anyway, back to Orban.
You go ahead. Let's hear about Orban.
Yeah, they said in the States, Project 25, that the Hungarian model was the model to follow. Now, after 16 years, there's what we got from Orban. You got the judiciary that were pretty well muzzled, no faith in the media, and they ended up with the poorest country in Europe. And then, as happens in every autocracy, their friends, his son-in-law was made a billionaire or more, and his other cronies. So that's what the model that the United States is following exactly. Destroy trust in the media, destroy the election trust, and enrich your friends. Jared is making billions, his son-in-law, right? So the parallel with Hungary is pretty good. But anyway, we saw that with Bolsonaro in Brazil and him in Hungary, that they can be voted out. So my biggest fear is, at my age, I'm going to die before I see the Leafs win the Cup and before I see Trump turfed out, and the same as Orban was. Anyway.
I don't know if Trump will get turfed out. And, I had predictions from a lot of friends the last time around. They didn't think he'd finish the first term, and he certainly did that and came back for a second one. But he did say something last week that, for the first time I had ever heard it, is that he was talking about pardoning his people on the way out the door. So he's actually talking about the door now, and I don't know what that means. But, the thing in Hungary, of course, is will it be different? And, Magyar seems to be on a different path, of course, and the people over there seem to have felt their strength in getting rid of Orban. So will that happen in the United States? And it's hard to know, but we're all watching very closely to the midterms, aren't we?
Well, I don't think it's hard to predict that. I think he's already shot himself in both feet, and he's working on his legs now, and he'll continue to do that. But I didn't think I'd ever hear this. A British MP stood up in the House of Commons in London and called him a corrupt, I think I got this right, a corrupt gangster. Now, can you imagine calling the President of the United States in any other time a corrupt gangster from the British Parliament? You don't hear anybody refer to him anymore as the leader of the free world. Have you noticed that?
Well, he's got the king coming over now next month or later this month maybe, and so we'll see what King Charles calls him. But anyway, Charlie, we'll keep an eye to all of that. I'm going to let you go. I've got a few lines open there now, but I appreciate your thoughts. And of course, you can never predict what's happening with Mr. Donald J. Trump. That's for sure. Thank you very much, Charlie.
10 seconds on what the king, when the king comes over, he won't say fellow king. I can promise you that. Anyway, thank you.
No, thank you. Absolutely not, Charlie. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving right along now, we're going to go to line 3, and the fish theme continues here on Open Line this morning. I believe I have Ross. Ross, you there? You want to talk food fishery?
Yes, I would like to talk about the fishery. I'd like to talk about both of the fisheries, the residential food fishery and the commercial fishery.
Sure. What are your thoughts?
Well, since I'll just give you a little thing now. Since Joanne Thompson got in as federal fisheries minister, I've sent her numerous emails to no response. But the day she got in, I sent her an email congratulating her that nice to have a Newfoundlander federal fisheries minister. I got a response back right away. But anyway, that was that. I can't get my voice anywhere on this. I've signed numerous petitions about it, and it's put on the back burner. So a couple of concerns I have. For starters, when you say recreational, you think about having food and an RV or blah, blah, blah. There's nothing recreational about our food fishery. It should be renamed resident food fishery. The same as a resident moose license and a resident caribou license and blah, 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 blah. Maybe that will get a little bit more attention to those people.
Yeah, it almost diminishes the meaning and the importance of it when you call it recreational. When you put it that way, for sure, it almost seems like, we're going out for a boil up, and we're going to go out for some food fishery, no.
Yeah, so that right off of the bat, like really irks me that they'd classify it as that. Now, people are calling in, they're talking about, how many fish you can catch in a day and the days you can go out and the weather and all this. Yes, I've gone through that for the last couple of years because I only retired back home to Newfoundland. My question to her was, how does a person make salt fish if you can only catch 5 a day? How would you go about making dried fish? Who's going to put out 5 fish one day and then, it's ludicrous. That part of it has to be taken into account. We as Newfoundlanders, when the fish struck in and the big fish came, we always took the big fish and we salted them, whether we had 30, 40, 50, 100, whatever. You can't do that anymore. How do you salt 5 fish and then time it to take them out for to dry them?
Look, it goes back to the point I tried to make earlier when I was talking with some other callers. That these rules are set up, in my view, to punish the innocent. We think you're going to do something skullduggery or something like that. You're going to wipe out the fishery, so we want to put these handcuffs on you to make it almost not even worth bothering, to be honest with you. And of course, it's left people in a tough way. And of course, you're right. Who's going to get set up and salt 5 fish?
Yeah. Now, that being said, and that myself, I can get a resident scallop license, right? So I can go out and I can drag scallops for myself. Now, there's an abundance of scallops here in Fortune Bay. But the thing about it is, I'm not allowed to use a mechanical device to get that scallop drag from the bottom up 30 or 40 feet to my boat. I'm not allowed to use a mechanical device. So that's the same thing as sitting on the back of a donkey with a fishing pole and a cart in front of his nose.
Well,
it's there, but you'll never get it. Like
You're painting a picture now that I'm not going to get out of my mind all day, and you can say it again, but it sounds absolutely ridiculous. But I don't mind, Ross. I got to go to news. I am 3 minutes, maybe almost 4 minutes past, and I'm really bad at going to the breaks on time. So if you want to hang on, I'll have you back after the news, or if you're finished up.
No, I'd love to hang on because I have a few words about commercial fishery also.
Okay, Ross, you hang on. Dave, take it to break.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
Well, welcome back to Open Line. I'm Darren Bent, your host, and we've had a lot of discussions this morning about the seal fishery, and I have Ross on line 3, and you want to talk about the commercial food fishery.
Yes, I would like to talk about that also, Darren. Last week in Nova Scotia, the lobster season opened, and those guys are getting $16 a pound for the lobsters. So the season in Nova Scotia opens up 2 weeks ahead of the Newfoundland season. So what happens is everybody is waiting for the lobsters, and then the Nova Scotia market floods it because they're opened early. Now, when our fishermen start now, the price has already dropped. Why can't they open Atlantic provinces the same time? Like that, like by the time they open here in Newfoundland, like coming this Saturday, they can put their pots out. The market is already flooded with lobsters, so they're not going to get the right price. Like that's unfair, Darren. That's unfair.
Yeah, and have you been given any reason why it's later here?
No, I haven't. And I have a real problem too, because I have many friends of mine are commercial fishermen, and they spend thousands and thousands of dollars preparing for the different seasons. Now, a lot of them, if they knew that they were only going to get a certain amount of money for their product, they would have diverted those thousands of dollars to a different fishery. Like they might put more into seining, or they might put more into the nets. I don't understand it all, but it seems like the DFO always comes out with stuff at the 11th hour, and it's time for DFO to start being more proactive on what they're doing. Like the gentleman was on a bit earlier, he spoke about the people trying to meet with Joanne Thompson about the recreational food fishery. She's the minister of DFO, Department of Fisheries and Oceans. She's been in Newfoundland several times since she has been in that position, and she's only here to announcements non-related to the fishery. Why wouldn't you take an extra day and sit down with somebody in Newfoundland to discuss what's going on?
I always wonder, I guess, Ross, is that especially when it comes to this time of year, maybe a little bit earlier even, an update on where things are or where things may be going would at least give people something, there's nothing worse than wondering and waiting till the last minute. And then, of course, when it comes so late, you feel like you're an afterthought. And imagine Newfoundland and Labrador being considered an afterthought when it comes to fishery matters.
Yes, exactly. And think about the poor fisherman that probably put $10,000 into his boat to get geared up to do something, and then to find out that he's not worth being at. He shouldn't have spent it on that. He should have, instead of lobsters, he should have got geared up for crab, or he should have got geared up for shrimp, or probably he said, well, just for me to give this up because they're not feasible whatsoever.
Yeah, it doesn't take long for the profit to disintegrate, that's for sure. Ross, I'm going to thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate your thoughts on the resident food fishery and the commercial end as well. We'll keep pushing that. How's that? We'll change this thing.
Appreciate
You and I
it
will.
very much, and I thank you for your time today to be able to voice my opinion on that.
I appreciate it, Ross. You take care and have a great day. And I'm going to turn it over to Dave now. He's going to take us to break. You're listening to Open Line on VOCM. I'm your host, Darren Bent. We'll be back in no time. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and we're going to go to line 1 for Corey. Corey, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Corey, how can I help you this morning?
Sir, I just got a little problem. I would like to speak my mind for a second.
Okay, you go ahead.
Okay, sir. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Corey Tobin. I'm 48 years old. In 2023, I was injured at work by an excavator. The bucket came down on top of my head. There was witnesses there, and it got washed under the rug, I must say. And so between 2023 and 2024, on February of 2024, I was discharged from workman's compensation. If it wasn't for a young fellow who sent me his statement, I wouldn't have had nothing. By the time March 4th came, I was homeless, and my mother was admitted into the hospital at March 1st. By the time March 4th came, I was homeless. I suffered a massive heart attack. I had 2 heart attacks in February of 23, and I had one massive one in March 10th of 24. And I ended up becoming very homeless. I lost everything I had. I lost my life. I lost everything. And the worst thing about it is that I lost my mother. And my mother was sick, but throughout that last year that I was dealing with this injury, I turned into a different person. The smack to the head altered my way of thinking. It altered my spirit. It altered a lot to me, actually. It really altered my life. And my mother was actually nervous to be around me. I hate to say it, actually. It breaks my heart because if anybody knows me, they know how much I dearly loved my mom. My mom was the greatest thing for me. And sorry.
It's okay, Corey. You take your time.
Thank you, Ed. So what my call is today, some people took my name, and they took my last years of heartache and the massive trauma that I deserved, that I took. They took it upon their own selves, and they started a foundation. They used my story. They used my death of my mother. They used my health against me. They used it all. They used my injury. They used my belief in Jesus, and they used everything against me for their own selfish use.
How so? How did they do that?
So where I was staying at the gathering, place, and a lot of information that was said, I said at that facility. I was notified of nothing. They used the information that they see down there at that moment. They used my mother, and I was going through a hard time down at the gathering place. Even though I was going further and further in the hole, I was still helping people as if I was home with my mom. I spent my last 25 basically years. I walked away from my job. I sacrificed everything for my mom. I walked away from relationships. I walked away from so much just to be there with my mom. I had a very terrible stepfather. I walked away from Alberta to come home, and I got clear of him. I walked away from it all just for my mother. And at the end of it, I got struck in the head, and now there was just too many people, sir, telling me I was a millionaire. There was just too many people telling me I was a millionaire. There was just too many. I went downtown, sir, and I was walking down the road, and a couple of senior citizens, they pointed me out. It actually gave me I was taking panic attacks for 3 days because I couldn't understand why people were looking at me there he is, blessing themselves.
So Corey, are you suggesting that somebody has used your image or your story to create some sort of money funnel that has not gone to you?
Correct.
Yeah. So where's the money now?
The money is in some spot right now. I do not know. I thought it was done by GoFundMe page, but it's not.
Okay.
It's dealing with a different organization, something to do with the fact of the homeless industry.
Yeah. So Corey, have you been to the police about this?
I was the officers was in yesterday and the day before, because I can't stop breaking down. Like, if I done anything in life I paid for it, and it kills me to know if somebody profited off my mom because of what my tears. I cried every day down there. I was constantly, still today I'm constantly crying because I can't believe what happened. I'm trying to get over the fact of my injury, but knowing the fact that somebody took my story, and it's not even a story.
So Corey, is it your understanding this is someone from outside the province, some group, some organization, a scam, if you will?
It's here in Newfoundland.
Yeah, you can access it here in Newfoundland, but a lot of those scams are from, God knows where.
I guess so, but I have nothing to scam. I'm homeless. I'm broke.
They're just taking your story and turning it into a money machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my story. What I'm trying to say is, if anyone donated to me, I wasn't expecting nothing, sir. I didn't know this was happening. People just telling me I was a millionaire. Couldn't believe it. It actually caused me to have a heart attack.
Wow. So what are the police saying to you, Corey? Are you able to lay it out for them and have them look into it?
Well, I spoke to one yesterday. She come in because they sent the cops in to. I'm not in distress. I'm not. I don't want to hurt nobody or hurt myself. Right. I'm just very emotionally damaged, I guess, right at the moment, because everything that I spoke of, everything I tried to vent, tried to heal myself, they took it upon their own selves and they started a foundation. And apparently there was millions and millions and millions of dollars reared up. Now, I'm not too worried about the money. Like my family, when my stepfather died, my family robbed all the money on my mother. So money really don't matter to me. But if somebody took...
Yeah, so Corey, what you're saying to folks is beware. That if there's some sort of fundraiser that's being done with your name or your image, look into it further before you make any donations, and I think that's a cautionary tale on so many fronts when it comes to people looking for money. It's even if it appears to be somebody it appears to be a story that's familiar to you, but you don't have direct personal knowledge yourself. Look into it before you send the cash, because the cash is not coming back if it's a mistake or if it's some sort of a scam or something like that.
Of course.
Corey, I hope that you're able to get this through police, and they do this a lot of times. They'll put out notices of scams to beware of, and hopefully if this is happening and people are sending money to it, and it may not just be here, it might be people from all over the world are seeing it.
That's what I'm thinking too, sir, because it's terrible.
Right.
My tragic, all I did was just get up and go to work.
Yeah, well, Corey. I hope you're getting the help you need medically. And sorry about your mom for sure. And
thank you so much,
many
sir.
of us know what it's like to lose a mom, and you can't replace a mom. There's no way around that. That's for sure.
She was my best friend.
Yeah. Look, Corey, you take care. You continue to talk to the police. police. Hopefully they can get some sort of a public awareness out on this. And we're doing it here right now, letting people know that you're not involved in any kind of fundraiser.
No, I am not.
And people should be very, very wary of anybody that is looking for money for any type of thing like this. But,
yes, sir.
And of course, it hurts those that are legitimate too, right? Doesn't it?
Yes.
Because it makes everybody seem like, oh, is this a scam? Is that a scam? And of course, just look into it. That's the best thing
My
anybody
mom
can
was
do.
a beautiful person. She don't deserve this after death.
No. Well, Corey, you take care, and thank you for calling and sharing this with us.
Thank you for listening, sir. Thank you so much.
No problem. Okay. Be well.
Bless you.
All right. Next on Open Line, we are going to Dave. Which line is it? Line 2, and on line 2, I have Jim. Jim, welcome to Open Line.
Yes. Good morning. First of all, I'd like to say I have ears to hear, I have a brain to analyze, and I got common sense to come up with an answer. First of all, I think our election system is for birds. I think there's an awful lot of people out there who make fantastic politicians, but they don't want to do it because they want to get in the glass cage. At present, you elect a party, and out of that party, you got to pick so many people to go into different positions. You might say the Minister of Fisheries. You got lying down in Newfoundland, we got one person make her Minister of Fisheries. Now, there could be somebody in Alberta or in Quebec who'll make an awful lot better Minister of Fisheries than the one we got. I don't know. I think he should be elected. No parties at all, none whatever. You go into a district and the people there want to run, they can run. Whoever gets elected, these people would get together and elect their leader.
Well, Jim, that actually is the system we have, but the voters continue to vote for their recognized parties rather than independents.
I know, but is this the best system?
Well, democracies have been criticized all around the world, of course, but I think a lot of people feel that could it always be better? Yes. Is it the best system? I'm not sure, but I think that most people would choose democracy over a lot of other forms of government. But it is the electorate that chooses who they vote for, like you said.
Democracy. That is democracy. The people vote who they want to go to represent them. That isn't democracy. At the present, you practically got a dictator up there, because he's going to appoint whoever he wants to appoint to wherever he wants to appoint him.
And
if he had his way, he might say, Harry Smith from BC will make the best Minister of Fisheries. But now we got to try to keep Newfoundland happy because they got one person there.
Well, we've had fisheries ministers from other provinces before, and I don't think Alberta's been one of them, but we certainly have had them from BC and New Brunswick and Quebec. And, one of the things we always say here in Newfoundland and Labrador is that if there's going to be a fisheries minister, they should be from our province. But, they do appoint them regularly to other coastal areas. It's just that this time around we have a fisheries minister.
But that person is appointed by the Prime Minister. If you had a election of people and you had 500 people there, they might say, somebody from Quebec or somebody from Alberta, as well as from Newfoundland, they get up, and the people then vote for who they think is going to be the best.
Yeah, so that would be a full-on, wide-open view on democracy. There's no doubt about that. It may curtail people from wanting to be the leader of a party that they have no control over. But you've got to remember, too, and I think, Jim, I'm going to go to break on this, and I thank you for calling, but you got to remember, too, that these organizations like the Liberal Party of Canada, the Conservative Party of Canada, and NDP and others, they're not public publicly owned institutions. They're private entities, and they put forward candidates. And traditionally, we have chosen someone from those parties every now and again. And we have some sitting members here in Newfoundland, of course, that are independent. And if there were enough independents, they might band together and do just what you're saying. But I appreciate your call this morning, Jim. Thank you very much. We're going to go to break. I'm going to turn it over to Dave.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent. And to Jim's point, election reform is something that should always be on the table to find better ways to do things, whether it's more efficient or more representative of the public, for sure. And you know what rears its ugly head every, 10 years or so? Senate reform. And we haven't heard much about that lately, but I have a sneaky suspicion it's not too far around the corner. So let's go to line 4 and talk about something completely different with Leonard. Leonard, you're on Open Line. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Darren. First of all, I'd like to say you're doing a commendable job there as Open Line host. A lot of great topics this morning, but as a resident of CBS, I love my town, I love my community, what it offers. I do have some questions I'd like to for you to ask for me pertaining snow clearing. This past winter has been very taxing on everybody, especially our aging population, our seniors. Just wondering about the big snow blowers. I don't know if they use them, but I've been up in this area where I lived for the last 15 years. I don't see the big snow plows up here doing the sidewalks or the small ones. I guess there's a lot of kilometers of road and sidewalk that needs to be cleared. Just wondering, I have a question when it comes to the actually plowing of the streets. Why is there like several feet of snow left out in the street? You got to do your driveway. If you got a long driveway, it's hard enough as it is when you're a senior. Just wondering why the plows do not run the curb or the sidewalk, but leave that extra couple of feet of snow, which when the plow does make several passes, that becomes quite high, of course. And if you got snow blowers, I find it hard to get through there. So just wondering why that is.
Yeah, so it's a phenomenon that happens when you get a winter like we have, that you have a lot of snow and then a lot more snow and then unfortunately a lot more snow. But we do have sidewalk clearers that do the school zones first as priority, and then the larger routes, they do those next, and then they continue on. As you can imagine, with any large municipality, that you may get more snow before you get everywhere. But when it comes to snow plowing, of course, the first run through any storm is to just clear the road, just get one path through so that people can get in and out. And I think it's 28 hours or 32 hours before every single road can get certainly one, if not two swings. And then, of course, you start on the widening, which usually doesn't get finished everywhere before the snow melts, because it's such a large municipality. And when it comes to the snow clearing, we went to 24/7 snow clearing, I think probably 5 years ago, to make a bigger difference in making sure that things were cleared, around the clock, so for safety reasons. So when it comes to widening, that's the last sort of thing that you get at. But that's typical of any municipality. I share your view on the end of the driveway. I don't have a long driveway, but it goes about 8 feet longer because I'm in on the end of a weird cul-de-sac that wasn't built, I guess, to modern day standards. So, my driveway grows about 8 feet, and I get it. It's difficult, and when you get a winter with heavy snow, wet snow, and that, it's difficult for snow blowers. I don't have a snow blower. I have a shovel, and I broke one of them this year myself. But it's one of those things that you can't get all the snow off of everywhere. But I understand your frustration. It's certainly something that can be looked at, and depending on where you are, it may be exacerbated by everything from elevation to just the amount of snow we get.
Do you guys use the big blowers in the subdivisions? I haven't seen since I've been up in this area, like I said.
Yeah, I don't think that we do in the subdivisions, and I'm not really sure of the status of them right now. And of course, like I said off the top of the show, as mayor, I'm not answering particular questions, but of course, our Public Works Department would have all of that information. If you want to give a call down to Town Hall, they would be happy to look it up. But for the purposes of this show, I'm, for individual, do we have blowers? Do we have this? Why aren't we doing that? Or why aren't we doing this? I'm kind of directing people to give the Town Hall a call. They can direct you to a counselor that's not on the air, and they can give you an overview of the entire fleet and why or why not they do certain things. But, and we have people running Public Works in that respect, and I don't do a daily, none of the counselors do a daily running of any of the particular departments when it comes to operations. We leave that to the professionals in the Public Works Department. But they'd be happy to help you for sure, Leonard.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with the town's fleet when it comes to timing of the snow clearing and that. Yeah. The guys and gals do a great job.
But when it comes to blowers on cul-de-sacs and stuff like that, I don't think so. And even then, I think cul-de-sacs would probably be last, when it comes to sidewalk clearing for sure.
Okay, I'm expecting now soon we'll see the sweepers and the sidewalk plows doing the. Yeah,
I think we did a notice actually on social media last week about sweepers, but they're going to come along. And something else, and I know this is for all municipalities, but if you have any damage done by plows, it's time to get that into your respective municipalities so that they can come by and have a look and get that fixed up for you.
Yeah, I got to say it's a great job done by the guys on the trailway systems. We got probably the best trailway systems in the Avalon and probably Newfoundland when it comes to the views that we got of the whale watching, the icebergs. I can only leave the house probably 10-minute walk and I can see all that in a single day. So I'm quite happy living here in CBS.
You're in God's country, my friend. You're in God's country, and the Grand Concourse Group do an amazing job on that trail that goes from
the guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm proud to be living in CBS. I lived in town when I was younger and wrote Mount Pearl and that, but CBS is home for me for the rest of my whatever God decides.
All right, Leonard. Well, thank you for calling. And like I say, if you want any particulars on that, the blower, give the Public Works Department a call. They're happy to help you.
I certainly will, Darren. Keep up the great work.
All right. You take care, sir.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, Dave, what line are we going to next? He's asking me to hold on, so I'm going to say line... Hey, look at that. Dave doesn't know what line to go to next. He is saying line 3. There he goes. All right. Scott, you should be there. Are you there?
Yes. Darren, how are you?
Sorry about that, Scott. We were fumbling around a little bit there, but been a busy morning. Go ahead.
Listen, you're doing a hell of a job there. I got to tell you, you're a great voice on the radio. I used to like you on NTV. Man, you'll be an excellent replacement for Patty if they offered it to you, and if that's something you're into. You're doing an absolutely fantastic job. I have to congratulate you after that.
Well, my family has always told me I had a face for radio, and I guess they're getting their wish now, aren't they?
You're not that good.
Anyway.
You look good on
Okay, sir. How can I help you?
Listen, I'm driving across the country. Listen, I just got off the ferry. And I came down from Calgary and went up to pick up a decent pickup truck because everything that back home is full of rust. And I want to point out that, like, when I, when I left Newfoundland in 1986, like, our place was a bit, rough, and we weren't really that a hab province as some you should say or whatever. But after driving across the country from Calgary, coming through the Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Northern Ontario in particular, trying 3 days to get out of that, hellhole. Our highways are better than anything that Ontario has to offer up there in the north.
I think we've lost Scott. Has that call? Scott, are you still there?
Hey, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm driving, like, probably, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You just dropped out there for a second. So you continue on, but if you drop out in a big way, we'll let you go. You can try back later.
Okay, no worries, Darren. I just want to point out that, like, we're not second best anymore. right? Our roads are better than anything that Northern Ontario has to offer. Our highway that I'm driving right now is as good as any stretch of highway that I went through, say, Alberta and Quebec. Our highway is better than any highway in Northern Ontario, which happens to be the Trans-Canada Highway, which is an absolute embarrassment to the country, if you ask me. It took me 3 days to get out of that place, and it's the most horrible drive I've ever experienced. 50% of the road is potholes. And then when you get to a city like Thunder Bay, Sudbury, Sault Ste. Marie, 50% of their streets, main arteries, are complete potholes. Tim Hortons Drive, the parking lots are complete potholes. I can't believe the state of Canada. And when I left Newfoundland, we weren't really that much of a had province, but we're never second best ever again. This is the best province in the country to be living in. Straight up.
Well,
and
Scott,
on top of that,
it's good to hear comparison-wise, and we're right particular about what we're driving on out here, I can tell you that, and a lot of money's been spent over the years, but I'm surprised to hear that on the mainland about the potholes, because potholes are easy to fix, certainly temporarily anyway, until they can get repaired.
Well, I would say Sudbury and Thunder Bay, I would say they never replaced a pothole in 50 years, I would say. It's just disgusting. The highway coming through, say, from Manitoba through Ontario is nothing like our Trans-Canada Highway is at 10, and the highway coming through Ontario, which is the Trans-Canada, blows my mind how bad it is. It's disgusting. I couldn't believe the state of a Trans-Canada Highway. Money needs to be spent up there. I'm on our highway now, and our highway is better than anything I drove through, say, other than Alberta and Quebec.
Well, Scott, I can tell you we're getting near the end of the show, and you're ending us with a warm, fuzzy feeling about the roads that we love to complain about. And I'm late for the break, my friend, but we're going to go. And thank you for giving us that update. And the grass is not always greener, is it? So we'll
not a bit, Darren.
All right.
But we should be completely happy where we are. I got to tell you that straight up.
All right. Well, you take care. Thank you for calling. And I'm turning it over to Dave. He's going to break. You're listening to Open Line. Well, welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and I can tell you this morning has flown. We're just got a couple of minutes left here on the show, but before we go, we have Lee on line 6. Lee, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Darren. This is a great way to end the show, hopefully on a positive note. So for the last 7 years, I've been exploring this beautiful province of ours. And I've made a list called the 7 Wonders of Newfoundland and Labrador.
That sounds like a pretty short list for this province, Lee.
It was a struggle to write, but I think of all the things I've seen, these are the 7 coolest.
Okay.
So anyway, I'll get going. And all right, number 1, the fjords on Western Brook Pond. Number 2, Point Amour Lighthouse in Labrador. 3, the Arches in Arches Provincial Park on the Northern Peninsula. 4, Root Cellars in Elliston. 5, Tablelands in Gros Morne. 6, the Replica Viking Village in Lanza Meadows. And finally, number 7, the Murals in Botwood. So everybody in VOCM Valley, if you have the time and means, you should really go check out these places.
Now, what's the most east of all of them? Is it Botwood?
The most east, I would say, would be Point Amour Lighthouse in Labrador.
Yeah. Okay, so just tell me.
Oh, that's
now.
west. Sorry,
yeah,
the
that's
most
west.
East, right?
Yeah. come towards VOCM Valley.
Yes.
Yeah. What Botwood was it? Yeah. Okay. So, why? Tell me why you made a list.
Well, it's been on my mind for quite some time, and I figured today I would take some time and call in and try to encourage everybody to explore this province of ours.
Yeah, no, and the exploration part is absolutely something that I would encourage people to do as well, and to get out to many of the different areas in the province. There's some hidden gems out there as well that usually don't make lists, but some of the ones that you've pointed out, of course, unless you're in the area, you wouldn't think to plan the trip to go to, because everybody says, well, what's in the area? But I suppose the Airbnb business has helped bring people to a number of these different places.
Affirmative, yes. Actually, I'm going to be in the Lumsden area exploring this summer.
Yeah.
So if you see me at the Riffs in Badgers Quay, stop and say hi.
Okay, well, Lee, I won't say I'm offended you left Topsail Beach off of the list, and the folks at St. John's may bring up Signal Hill and a few other places, but when you get out around Middle Cove, it's quite nice out there, and of course up along the Conception shore on the north side, incredible. You go down the Burin Peninsula, it's amazing down there, Burin Bay and areas like that down through from Garnish South, just incredible places down through there, and all kinds of wonderful things to explore throughout our province. Great things to see, wonderful things to do as well.
Absolutely. Actually, I'd like to amend my list. I was originally going to say the 7 wonders of Newfoundland and Labrador, not on the Avalon Peninsula, but I forgot to say that part.
There you go. Okay, because I was thinking, you ought to come out here too. So we've got some pretty good stuff. But all of the things that you have mentioned there are of course, wonderful and iconic, and some of them protected, of course, as you know. The Viking Village. When were you up there last?
I've been up there twice. I first went in 2019, I believe, and then again, I think in 2022, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, and it's an amazing thing, and you can really get the sense of the history, can't you? You can feel it almost being there. It almost takes you back in time.
Oh, it does. Yeah. No, it's great. It's great.
Well, Lee, thank you for calling this morning, and I'll challenge all of our other listeners that if they want to make their list and give a call, please do. We're happy to hear what you think the 7 wonders of Newfoundland and Labrador are. Lee, you have a great day. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thanks, Darren, and thanks for VOCM. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Goodbye now, and thank you. Lee's the last caller today, and I'm just going to finish up here for the last minute before we get to news. And I know Sarah Strickland appreciates baseball, and of course she's a big baseball fan. But today's a special day in baseball. Of course, April 15th is Jackie Robinson Day, and when you watch baseball tonight, if you happen to turn it on, you go, how come everybody has the same number? Well, it's Jackie Robinson Day, and of course, a number of years ago, they retired his number throughout all of baseball, and of course, to recognize the breaking of the color barrier in the pastime of North America, North American pastime. Everyone in honor of Jackie Robinson wears number 42. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today on Open Line. We had a great show, lots of callers. Let's have lots of callers again tomorrow, and we'll talk about what you want to talk about. I'm your host, Darren Bent. It has been an absolute pleasure sitting in with you this morning, and now I'm going to turn it off and turn it over to the news.